Dana White, the president of UFC, I said this an hour ago. In my life, the only commissioner who has been even reasonably close to as important to their sport as Dana is to the UFC is David Stern, who took a dying NBA and revitalized it. So, Dana, let me first start by addressing the story that UFC is up for sale. I know what you paid for it. I hear the numbers, what it's up for sale. I'd like to strongly recommend that you consider selling it and being a billionaire. Can I start with that?
That's funny. Listen, if somebody has $4 billion to buy the UFC, come on over here right now. We can talk.
Well, I said, Dana, in my lifetime, one of the great investments, I remember when it was purchased for $2 million. I remember thinking, that's like buying the MGM for a nickel. Would you at least acknowledge, Dana, that everything has a timeline? It has been a daunting experience to you physically and emotionally. You're in Brazil. That maybe there will come a time in the near future that you are capitalizing on the great American dream.
I'm 46 years old. You know what I mean? I'm 46 years old, and I'll tell you this. Me and the Fertittas believe that this sport can literally be the biggest thing in the world. It works everywhere. Fighting doesn't need to be explained to anybody in any country in any language like other sports do. And we always believe that, and now we've proven it as we've taken it to all these other countries. And some places are tougher to get into than others, like New York City.
Right.
That was a joke. But, it works everywhere. This thing about us being sold, we're always making moves to grow the sport, to grow the brand, and make this whole thing bigger. And that's the truth. 45,000
fans, a Brazilian record, will show up Saturday, UFC 198, which, by the way, Anderson Silva has been pulled because he's having abdominal pain. When the story came down last night, I reached out to my bosses, and I'm like, God, I'd be crushed if we lost the UFC because I think they fit Fox, and I think they work with our edge and their edge. And I said, but God, Dana, hit the travel. You got Conor McGregor getting cocky. These guys get hurt. What to you, Dana, like with Silva and the injuries, are there times, have you thought about, we have to pull guys occasionally from these fights. It is a very regulated violence. Is there a way to cure that, to solve the injuries before fights?
Oh, we're getting a lot better at that. We started working with this company called Exos, who is actually, you have to understand that this sport is still evolving and still growing. It's still young. It's really 16 years old. And, we're continuing to get better at everything. The Anderson Silva thing is a complete weird thing. We do this show called UFC Embedded, and you can go on YouTube and you watch it. And basically, it's real time what's happening with these fighters behind the scenes as they lead up to their fight. And we actually came out with one yesterday, and Anderson Silva looks awesome. He's hitting the mitts, and he's talking about how excited he is to fight in his hometown of Curitiba. And boom, late yesterday afternoon, he's vomiting. He's having severe stomach pains. We sent him to the hospital. They checked him out. They released him. He goes home. He is not well. We sent him to a different hospital. They end up finding out there's something wrong with his gallbladder. He literally went into surgery this morning at 7:30. He was in surgery for 2 hours and just came out. So that's just one of those things you couldn't, He's a human being, and he got ill. There was problems with his gallbladder. He'll be healed and ready to go in 6 weeks. But the card is so stacked. I mean, it's the biggest card we've ever brought to Zil. 45,000 tickets sold out in one day. Wow. The weigh-ins this Friday. The weigh-ins, there's going to be over 20,000 people at the weigh-ins.
Dana White,
Madness.
UFC president. Okay, Floyd Mayweather comes out, Conor McGregor, and I said when this story came out, it sounds like, boxing and UFC. And I said, these sports aren't compatible. Gloves, rounds, can you kick? I heard this story, and I'm like, this doesn't work. Ali once fought a wrestler, and it was awful. Could you ever have a day where a Floyd Mayweather fights a UFC guy or any boxer in a UFC guy?
Well, we did. We had James Toney come in and fight Randy Couture, and that fight lasted not very long. It was over quick. Two completely different sports. And, when these guys are talking about this, first of all, Conor McGregor's under contract with the UFC. So if Floyd wants to come out of retirement and fight Conor McGregor, call me, Floyd.
Okay.
Call me.
Okay, now, do you have a relationship with Mayweather? Because you've been critical of him even on this show. Do you have a relationship?
I do. Floyd and I go way back to the amateurs. We've known each other for a long time. I just saw him at the Celtics-Lakers game, and we talked. So we have a good relationship. We go at each other sometimes, but at the end of the day, we've known each other for a long time.
Okay, Floyd can be very rigid. He's not going to allow kicking. What would you say if Floyd came in and say, okay, I'll do it for a fat payday. I'll do it. But it's a real disadvantage for a Conor McGregor if he has to go by entirely boxing rules. Wouldn't Floyd have to be willing to allow some UFC rules?
Complete disadvantage for Conor in boxing,
right?
And absolute disadvantage for Floyd in MMA. So, it's why it's one of those tough things to do, and there's so much ego involved and so much money involved. It's those fights are fun to talk about, but very hard to make.
I've said this. John Calipari coaches Kentucky basketball, and this whole one and done culture. And I said, John, you can't do this for 15 years. It's impossible. It's going to wear you out. Look at Dana. You are traveling everywhere. You have built an unbelievable empire. This is an amazing sport. Multiple networks are going to bid so much money. I don't have to tell you in 2018 or 19 when the rights are available. But even commissioners who have less daunting jobs leave. Dana White, in 10 years, Dana White, are you running the UFC?
Well, first of all, thank you. Number one. Number two, I don't know. I mean, the thing about me is I'm 46 years old. I jump out of bed every day. I love coming to work. And, we deal with a lot of issues and a lot of problems, but I mostly deal with things that are, there's a lot of hacks that cover this sport.
Right.
And we live in a world now of clicks. So they will literally say anything to get clicks, and everybody's an insider. There are no insiders in this sport. There's no insiders. So it just, I mostly put out fires all day. But I love my job. I love the sport, and I'm not beat up and tired yet.
All right. Okay, can you give us latest on Conor McGregor? I mean, listen, he's taken to Twitter. I think it's a massive mistake. What is the latest? When is the last time you talked to Conor McGregor?
I talked to Conor a couple days ago.
Okay.
We talked a couple days ago. We're going to dinner next week. We're putting this little hiccup behind us, and we're going to move forward. At the end of the day, Conor is a very smart guy. He's one of the smartest guys that we've ever dealt with in the business. He's intelligent, but what made him a huge star and what makes people love him is this kid wants to fight. He wants to fight. He loves to fight, and he'll fight anybody. And when you have that attitude and that mentality, people love you.
What if I said, Dana, is it fair for me to say, Dana, you were a little rigid. He is a star, Dana. You've got to pull back a little bit, Dana. He doesn't have to do as much as everybody else. Is that fair?
I think that many of the fans, the fans of the UFC would agree that we have given Conor a lot of leeway. So would the fighters. We have given Conor a lot more leeway than we've given anybody else. He deserves it. Not only just being a star and being whatever, but he steps up. He steps up when we need him to, and he's done big things, and I respect him for that, and I respect him as a fighter. But you cannot not show up to the press conference. You can't do it. And I don't care who you are. You have to do it.
All right. Go make money. All right. Dana White, UFC president. Good luck in Brazil.
Thank you, my friend.